Hey everyone, it's been over 2 minutes. I haven't been raped yet. And yet somewhere, another feminist surely got her wings. Stop playing break free from your chains, to break free from your cage. What we don't want to do is go back to a traditionalist world. Hi, I'm Diana Davison. I want to talk this week about relationships and the pulpit of Poon. The concept that relationships have taken on a religious purpose in the lives of human beings. And in the growingly secular community, I think that actually connects in the awareness, the rising awareness that religion has perhaps potentially lied to people about a few things, and the loss of purpose that religion used to fulfill in people's lives is being transferred onto personal relationships. So let's look first at what a relationship entails. You meet somebody who is a potential partner for whatever reason they attract you, and you invest time in that relationship. At the very beginning, what you get instantly is the acceptance of you as a person of worth. Somebody sees something in you, and that's the initial lure. Then as you start to invest time, you start to go through, this is who I am, this is how I grew up, this is my life history. And at the point that you start to do that with another person, you are now making them the keeper of your life story. You're investing in them the role of witness to your life. And this has a bigger purpose than just, creating a friendship with somebody. What human beings need, and, not everybody might agree on this, but there's a growing body of evidence to show that people can accept that they are an animal, a limited lifetime span animal who's going to die, but when at the point of their death, they don't want to die meaningless. They want to give some sort of purpose to their life. They want to be immortalized through their works in some way, or even just if they're not, aspiring to greatness, if they don't think that they have what it takes to become somebody famous, and not a lot of people do, they want to at least have another person in the world who will carry on the memory of themselves in a positive way. And this is often achieved through the creation of family. So you bond with somebody else, you pour your life story into them, and then they become the keeper of your life story. Now, let's just presume this is true for a minute. If that's the case, one of the worst things that can happen to you is that you are rejected by the person who is supposed to fulfill this role, the person who's supposed to validate you and give your life some sort of meaning. So you've invested, let's say, a couple of years even. Let's just go with a fresh relationship. It's only been a couple of years, and then this person rejects you. You have now lost those few years, and you have to go find somebody else who you can fill up with your life story. You can then become your new witness. And on top of that, you have the rejection of having found somebody that you trusted, and you trusted them with your life story, which is then placing your worth into their hands. They've looked at you and not just said, oh, you look like shit, I'm not interested in you, you're worthless, you're unattractive, whatever. This is somebody who originally said, yes, I believe in you. And then the more they learned about you, the further away they grew, and then they reject you and say, I've now looked at you, I've studied you, I understand what you're all about and how you got to be the way you are, and I don't like you. So that's why when people are in a relationship, a romantic relationship, and it ends, they just basically are floundering around lost in a black hole. And of course you can come up with defense mechanisms for it and so on, but ultimately that is the danger of entering into romantic relationships. All right, so how do we get from just making a perhaps poor decision on who to become friends with, who to entrust your mental and emotional well-being in, how do we get from there to it serving a religious function? Well, your worth is put into the hands of another person who's given divine power to say that you have meaning or you don't have meaning. And they offer you what is essentially the gateway to heaven. Heaven in this case would be that ideal image, which I think most people can recognize, which is a person who at the end of your life, when you're old and and infirm is going to sit on a park bench with you, and every time they look at you, they're going to have that look of adoration, and they're going to appreciate the value of who you were and the time you've spent together. And, it doesn't have to be a heroic death, but at the very least, we have this idea of heaven, the afterlife, in which when you die, that person loves you so much, they're probably only going to live for another year or two because they want to join you. So we've basically created this romantic idea about the role another person can play in your life. This is a lot of responsibility to put onto another person who is a stranger to you. Essentially, that's what they are. When you meet somebody and you think you've fallen in love with them and you build all these ideas, romantic ideas about what that's going to mean for you and how this is going to transform your life into a person of worth. You're going to have all these little babies running around and you get this big vision. And people talk in delusional terms about it. They make vows to each other forever. I mean, that's very unrealistic. When you look at it just on that one aspect, how do you look at somebody and say, I will love you forever, and demand of them that they're going to love you forever too? This is a religious type of exchange going on. Now, when you look at lyrics of popular songs, you can see that, and a lot of them are about love and romantic relationships. You can see them refer to their partner in terms that are quite religious in nature. Now, there are love songs elevating both men and women to some sort of divine status and talk about them in terms of you are the wind beneath my wings and so on. But women primarily are in the role of the god or goddess, and there are many workshops that women go to. Find your inner goddess, and women love this concept. They actually promote it. And basically, women are the gender that's referred to in terms of beauty. You don't generally call men beautiful. And the beauty is one of the faces of God. So if somebody is gifted with beauty, they are seen as being blessed by God. And women also have life come out of their crotch. And so they are seen as a earthly manifestation of God. As a result, as much as both genders write love songs for each other, basically it's women who generally fulfill this role. And like Beyonce, they'll talk about men in terms of, I see your halo, but don't be fucking fooled. Halos are what angels have, and angels serve God. Now I know if women are gods or goddesses, then why do they whine so much, right? It's kind of like the poor little rich kid syndrome. It's like, it's not easy being a god. I have to do all these things. I have to make myself look nice. I have to fulfill this illusion that's expected of me. It's not easy being a god. And that's essentially what we're hearing feminists talk about with this, why can't we have it all, right? Now, the problem that gods face is that they require worshipers. And I think that it's important to look at this from both sides. So if women are the gods in this relationship, conferring value and identity onto men, and men are willing to go out and labor and put all the spoils of their labor at the feet of women, then why would women complain about this? They just get shit all the time, right? So what are they fucking bitching about? But the problem, because we are human, we're not gods, the problem is that a worshiper may go from church to church and seek a god to worship. The god is basically stuck waiting for somebody to come and worship them. And there's a sense of helplessness about that. So, men have to learn how to put up with rejection because they go and they ask a god for approval and the god says, fuck you, you're just a piece of shit, you're a little earthworm. The goddess is nothing unless she has somebody worshiping her, and she can't go, what kind of god goes and says, fuck you, worship me, right? Well, okay, they do actually nowadays especially. But a god requires somebody to come to them, and so women do all these things to make themselves more attractive, to draw a worshiper into them. And they're jealous gods. Once they get the worshiper, you will see, thou shalt not worship any god but me, right? But a lot of this whining and bitching and complaining is basically that once they attract that worshiper, which isn't the easiest thing to do, once they attract that worshiper, then they are stuck trying to maintain this illusion. And they're not gods, obviously. And the only way to maintain that illusion is to put a budget into good fashion and hair products and makeup products and invest in a really good quality fan for the bathroom. Now, part of this pulpit of poon is the poon, right? So the reason that men are willing to jump through hoops and to do all this ridiculous stuff and blind themselves to the fact that women are not goddesses is that, the sexual act has, it's a bit of a conundrum. You get this orgasmic sexual release where you separate from your body and you feel like something more divine, something more ethereal, but then you're also reminded that it is a bodily act and that you are, in fact, quite mortal. All right, so what is the dilemma? There are some guys who are called the angry men of the internet who are really annoyed that women aren't goddesses, that women can't just convey some sense of worth onto them. But then there's also the approach of saying, why can't you get a sense of worth from another source? Why are women required to fulfill this role? Why have we put this religious sort of purpose into our personal relationships, where that other person, you fill them up with your life story and then they become the keeper of it and you give them so much power over yourself? Is there another way? Is there a way of removing this power from women who don't deserve it because they're also just people? Is there a way of doing that and finding another source of validation? You can ask, can you remove this religious requirement from people? Sure, okay, let's ask that, and when you find a solution, let me know. But I think what's more important right now is to recognize what's going on and then to take a little more control over it. So I'm going to end this video on a different note, and it's sort of a message to the guys who email me or send private messages suggesting that I'm some sort of a naywalt, or asking me if I'm in a relationship. And I guess one of the things I want to make clear with this video is that I'm anti-relationship. I think relationships are toxic, and I think that people who engage in this sort of tomfoolery, this religious behavior, are self-destructive. So if you are messaging me, asking me about my relationship status, you haven't heard a fucking word I've said. I am not a naywalt, and it's not because I'm something fucking special. It's because I think that people need to stop destroying each other. And I hope that my videos are contributing to that goal. And now for the rape joke of the week. 98.3% of rape victims claim that the most traumatic part of the experience is they didn't get a phone call the next day.